What's up, all you minties? This is the Uncanny Omar here from Nearman Condition, and today I'm going to do a comprehensive reading order of the Justice League. Now, this is part one because these turn out to be really huge. So, please stay tuned. And welcome back, everybody. Now, before I get started, I want to give a quick shout out to all our Patreons that voted for this. Every month I put a comprehensive reading order on our Patreon site and have them vote. So thank you very much, and if you haven't joined, think about joining. The link to our Patreon is in the description. I do want to say a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off the cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. And check out their bargain bin for even greater deals up to 90% off cover price. And for you minties, Cheap Graphic Novels is running a special promotion. If you're a first-time customer, let them know you were referred by Nearman Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. Now, the first question you may have is, what the hell are all these books doing on the side, and what do they have to do with the Justice League? Well, I hope it will all make sense when this is all over. So, let's get this started. Now, in case you didn't know, the DC Universe revamped itself after this event right here, Crisis on Infinite Earths. It restarted everybody with a fresh new origin, and, well, not Hawkman, but we're not going to talk about Hawkman today. We're going to talk about the JLA, or Justice League. So after that event came the Justice League International Omnibus, also collected in trade paperbacks. I will say that I have the JLA Year 1 in here. And most people are like, why the hell do you have that in here? This was written in 1998. Justice League International started in the 80s, 86, 87. Why do you have this in here? Because I think it's important. I love this retelling of the Justice League meeting for the first time. It ends up replacing Wonder Woman, so it's not your holy trinity of heroes starting the Justice League, but instead you get characters like Black Canary in there. You get appearances by the Doom Patrol, and I think it's a really nice... I don't want to say retcon because there wasn't a JLA Year 1 before this. So I think it's a really nice retelling of the Justice League origin story. And it is written by Mark Waid and also Brian Augustine and Barry Kitson, the same team that did the very underrated Empire. So let's move on to the big one here, the one that really kicked off in the 80s, right after the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I'm just going to showcase a little bit of the artwork in here while I talk about it. So this collects Justice League 1 through 6, and then it gets renamed to Justice League International 7 through 25. Then it also collects Justice League of America 26 through 30. As you can tell, it got renamed again. Justice League Annual number 1, Justice League International Annuals 2 and 3, and Justice League Europe 1 through 6, and Suicide Squad 13. Justice League Europe was kind of the sister title with Justice League of America. Now, sadly, I don't see a Volume 2. It's one of my DC Most Wanted omnibuses. You get early art by Bart Sears in here. Most of the stuff is written by J.M. DeMatteis and Keith Giffen. Of course, Kevin Maguire on this wonderful, hokey artwork here. But this really starts off the Justice League to me. And what did it was these C-list characters that appeared to join the Justice League for a while. And, man, I absolutely love this series. There is one trade paperback right after this that was never collected anywhere else besides trade. And that is this right here. This is Justice League International Volume 6. So the stuff that you saw in this omnibus over here is Volumes 1 through 5. This is Volume 6 and collects Justice League of America 31 through 35, Justice League Europe 7 through 11. And that's it. And this is fun, too. This is where they fight a bunch of vampires. Sadly, nothing came after this. There was a breakdown trade paperback that was solicited, but canceled for obvious reasons that I've talked about in the past on the channel. Now we move on to the late 80s with this collection right here called Superman and the Justice League. This collects Justice League Spectacular number 1 and Justice League of America 60 through 68. So yes, there's a huge chunk missing from 36 all the way to 59. Again, the breakdowns volume was canceled. Then that leads us to Superman and the Justice League Volume 2. You people that have read these before probably know that this is how can they continue the Superman and Justice League series, because most of this stuff happens through right here, the death of Superman. So they don't. They rename it, of course. So this one collects Justice League of America 69 through 77 and Justice League of America Annual number 6. Man, just flipping through here just brings back memories. Ray. I love the Ray. Okay. Now, what do? Well, Superman's dead, and he comes back. Spoilers, eventually. But they end up renaming the collections, at least. It was always Justice League. But this is the next set of collections, and this is Wonder Woman and the Justice League Volume 1. If you are going to try to buy these, please keep in mind that you're looking for the second printing of this. Let me see if I can find the printing date here. The first printing had missing pages, and then pages were collected out of order. So if you're looking for this, make sure that you are looking for this number right here. So freeze frame right there. That's, even though it says first printing, it's not. This is the number that you want. This has the proper collection. So this collects Justice League of America 78 through 85. So right after the events of the Superman and Justice League Volume 2. And also Justice League of America Annual number 7. Holy shit, how can you not love Booster Gold's freaking 90s armor? Look at that. They're about to get extreme. Oh yeah, and they are. By the way, I'm only doing Justice League books unless there's an event that really impacts the characters. I'm not doing any of the miniseries or any of the other stuff that's been collected, like the JLA versus Teen Titans or Titans, sorry. Now, let's keep going. And here we have Volume 2. Now, Volume 2 collects Justice League of America 86 through 91, Justice League International 65 through 66, and Justice League Task Force 13 through 14. All of these events happen right before Grant Morrison takes over the book, because he's about to change everything up. But not for a while. We still have a lot more they could have collected, but I guess these didn't sell that well, or that doesn't justify another book, another set of trades. You know, some Omnis would be nice. Now let's get to the Grant Morrison run. First of all, Omar, why the hell didn't you upgrade to a deluxe hardcover or the thicker trades? Because I'm hoping DC does the right thing and gives us a damn omnibus of these. I've had some of these for over 10 years now, a decade of my life. Look how thin this is. I didn't even upgrade to the fatter trades. This is ridiculous. I think this just collects 4 issues. And I'll talk about that here in a second. So yes, these stories are collected in 4 deluxe editions, by the way. But it doesn't have everything. No, because like JLA Deluxe Edition Hardcover Volume 3 skips issue 27. And it doesn't give us the miniseries of the 1 million. And I think, yeah, the Deluxe Edition Volume 4 skips issues 35. So no, I'm not playing that game. I'm going to keep this shitty trades until they do the right thing and give us a chronological order of JLA. So they are available in fatter trades, by the way. Now, those are more complete. They take us all the way up to 125, the fatter trades do. So if you want to go that route, that's awesome. I actually recommend going that route to get more of the story. It doesn't contain everything, but it's close. These, I kind of had to add to these. By the way, Howard Porter joined Grant Morrison to reimagine the Justice League. The Justice League had been selling really crappy, so they were like, hey, let's get Grant Morrison. He'll bump up the sales. And Grant Morrison was like, sure, I'll do it. So this is known as New World Order. If you're a glutton for punishment and want to collect them the way that I did, sure. New World Order collects issues 1 through 4, but it's got some nice paper. That's about all I can say about that. Next up, we have American Dreams, also drawn by Howard Porter. Issues 5 through 9 here. This, if you'll notice, Superman is blue and also has lightning powers. Why? Because things were happening throughout the titles that changed and affected the characters. Let's move on. Rock of Ages with crappier paper. One of my favorite Justice League stories, collecting issues 10 through 15. So we're moving up on the numbers of issues that we are collected. Now, Superman was like this because in his own comic book, he was turned into this elemental. And then there was a red Superman. because DC. I actually want to custom bind those. And speaking of custom binds, stay to the end of the episode to see something really amazing. I'm going to give a huge shout out to. So within these pages, 10 through 15. Now moving on to JLA Strengthening Numbers. Now this is a fatter trade. Collecting issues 16 to 23. Introducing my boy right there, Prometheus. Probably one of my favorite JLA villains, even though he is completely outdated because of the way that he uses data disk on the side of his head. Collecting issues 16 through 23. JLA Secret Files number 2 and New Year's Evil Prometheus one-shot. Superman still being blue. As a matter of fact, I remember Wally was replaced by another character, and so was Wonder Woman. Somebody else was playing the role of Wally, and somebody else was playing the role of Wonder Woman. And Kyle Rayner, it wasn't Hal Jordan, was Green Lantern at the time. I always find it amazing that all these events happen, and my boy Grant Morrison was still able to execute an amazing story. This one here is Justice for All, and collects issues 24 to 33. Again, all the Grant Morrison stuff has been collected, except for the issues, like I think they were written by Mark Miller, in hardcover edition, in 4 hardcovers. Collecting issues 24 through 33. Now, after reading Justice for All, I strongly recommend reading DC 1 million. No, you don't have to read the Omnibus, just the 4 issues. But this does collect the JLA 1 million and the DC 1 million 1 through 4, which was a Grant Morrison event. The Omnibus just collects all the 1 million issues for the other titles. But if you can get the trade paperback, or if you want to get the Omnibus, it's pretty cheap out there. Which leads to his grand finale, World War III, which is probably up there, top 5 favorite JLA stories ever. If y'all want me to do a top JLA or favorite Justice League stories, let me know in the comments down below. And this one collects the final Grant Morrison stuff, still joined by Howard Porter for the most part, and it collects JLA 34 through 41, some of the best superheroic books ever written right here. And then Grant Morrison leaves. There is another book that I would suggest before reading this and reading his run, and that is this right here. But it's got Mark Miller's name. But no, it's really Grant Morrison. This is, and it actually is labeled as JLA Presents. Like, look, if you look at, it's like they really want you to buy that because nobody was buying Aztec Collection. If you want, it adds to the story, and especially in World War III. Because the character's introduced. Otherwise, you're going to be like, who the hell's this guy that's doing things and plays such a big role in this? Well, that's this guy. That's if you want to. I would read it probably right before Justice for All. Now, this book right here, I strongly recommend reading right after World War III because this will play a bigger part in Part 2 of the Reading Comprehensive Order of Justice League. And that is JLA Earth 2. Beautiful artwork here by Frank Quitely, who I didn't really appreciate at the time, but now the man has grown on me. He does have beautiful artwork. Look at that. Available in trade paperback and other editions, like hardcovers. Which leads us to this book right here, Tower of Babel. Who's going to take over Justice League? Who is going to do the book justice? Shit, I didn't even mean to make that joke. That just naturally came out. That was like a dad joke. I am a dad, so I guess that makes sense. This is Tower of Babel, written by Mark Waid. Still Howard Porter on most of the artwork. Again, one of my favorite. If you know this channel, you know that this is the book I recommend. Tower of Babel. It is amazing. And it did make me, I'm like, oh, well, Grant Morrison's run was awesome, but Mark Waid, holy shit, this is great. This collects issues 42 through 46 and JLA Secret Files 3 and JLA 80-page giant. Now, I do want to talk a little bit just about this. This is the story where Ra's al Ghul hacks into the files of Batman to how Batman would get rid of each of the Justice League members. Oh, and he does some messed up shit to Batman, too. Oh, I love this story. Amazing. And that is followed by Divided We Fall. This one here collects issues 47 through 54 of Justice League. Also written by Mark Waid. Still kicking ass. Now he is joined by Brian Hitch on most of this stuff here. And here we have the last of the Mark Waid books, and this is Terra Incognita. He is joined by Chuck Dixon on this. And this collects issues 55 through 60 of the Justice League, or JLA as it's known at the time. I mean, that's edgy. JLA instead of Justice League. And now we have another team taking over the book. Another underrated team, I think. This is Joe Kelly and Doug Mahnke's take on Justice League. So this one is called The Golden Perfect, collecting issues 61 through 65 of JLA. You can tell this is when I fell in love with Doug Mahnke's artwork. It's just absolutely beautiful. Some team members are switched out, and we have... Actually, the next arc is probably one of my favorites, too. I have so many. So like I said, if you want to see those, let me know in the comments down below. Here is the Obsidian Age. This one has been collected in oversized... in one complete trade paperback. And like I said, the fatter trades. This is where the story really shines. This is book 1. If you're trying to get them in this type of collected edition. I don't know why, but sure. Collecting issues 66 through 71. This is where Joe Kelly really, really shines, I think. Especially in part 2, with the sacrifices that some of these characters had to make. Oh, I absolutely love the Obsidian Age. I think it's one of the best Justice League stories. JLA, my bad. Collecting issues 72 through 76 of Joe Kelly's run. Now, after reading this run, I strongly recommend reading the JSA and JLA Virtue and Vice miniseries, which is collected in this omnibus. It's a 3-issue miniseries, also collected in trade paperback and hardcovers. So that's where I recommend reading it, and I think it is important. Next up, we have a brand new team of Justice League members. This one is Rules of Engagement, collecting issues 77 through 82 of the Justice League. As you can tell, Kyle is now gone, and my boy John Stewart is taking the place of the Green Lantern on the team. Still really, really good, I think. Now, if you're getting it this way, I will say that issue 83 is missing from this type of collection, and that's one of my favorite issues. So this stuff right here is written by Joe Kelly. This is called Trial by Fire, collecting issues 84 through 89 of JLA. So keep that in mind, missing issue 83. And then we have the 10th Circle. Now the 10th Circle collects issues 94 through 99 of Justice League. So if you're keeping tabs, that leaves issues 90 through 93 uncollected in this format. Collected in the fat trades, so keep that in mind. This is when John Byrne took over the run, and I don't even know why the hell they called it JLA. They should have just called it Doom Patrol Zero, because that's what he was really trying to sell. So, but after this, the 100th issue is also not collected in this format of JLA. But it is collected in another format, and that is the Justice League Elite. Issue 100 is collected in the pages of Volume 1, as well as Action Comics 775, which is not collected in the Fat Trade run, and JLA Secret Files from 2004, and then JLA Justice League Elite 1 through 4. One of the most underrated runs, I think. It only lasted 2 volumes, so I push for those. But if you're getting it this way, this is the way to get the 100th issue collected. Then we have another team on the book. Jesus. Pain of the Gods. How do I describe this? This was a pain to read. That's how I describe it. Chuck Austen, notoriously known for being one of the worst X-Men writers ever. War Machine wasn't that terrible, but this is pretty damn painful to read. Collecting issues 101 through 106 of JLA. Ugh. Okay, you remember those cats that appeared in the JLA Earth 2 by Grant Morrison? And why I told you to read it? Well, they make a comeback within the pages of right here. Syndicate Rules. This is actually a really good story. Written by Kurt Busiek. Ron Garney remains on art, who did the previous book with Chuck Austen. Now, got a couple more. But before I talk about those, I think if you watch this channel, you know how I feel about the story. But regardless of how I feel about the story, I think it is important to read this before finishing out the JLA. And this also helps understand some of the events within the pages of Infinite Crisis. And that is Identity Crisis. Now we have 2 more. And here is Crisis of Conscience, written by Jeff Johns, Alan Heinberg, Chris Batista on artwork. I love this, and that's why I think that it's important to read Identity Crisis before reading this, because this is the ramifications of what happened in Identity Crisis. And since I don't talk about spoilers in these because some of you all have not read any of these books, I think it's important to just tell you to read that before reading this. So this collects issues 115 through 119 of JLA, which takes us to the final volume of JLA, and this is A World Without a Justice League. Written by all people Bob Harris. Like, Bob Harris, the editor at Marvel Comics and an editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, and I know he wrote a bunch of Avengers issues that I quite enjoyed, but he gets to finish out the JLA. At the time, he was working over there at DC, by the way. No, he's still there. I'm sorry, he's still there. Most of the artwork in here is done by Tom Derenick. And this collects issues 120 to 125 of JLA. Everything leads into this, and this, of course, being Infinite Crisis, where everything ends and the DC universe gets revamped again. If you want to see us talk about this, we just did it on Old Reader, New Reader, so shameless plug for our own channel. And here it is. If you want to take a snapshot, this is it. I did this for all you guys that stayed until the end, or I guess, screw the rest of the video. Wanted to fast forward here. But this is my comprehensive reading order. Now, before I go, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you know how I feel about omnis and then custom binding. Like, I have to do these on my own sometimes. Well, a huge shout out to my friend Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. This was so nice and completely unexpected. But I guess he got tired of me bitching about how these JLA books should get omnis. And he got me these custom bound books, which are freaking amazing. So this takes us from issue 1 all the way to 125. Man, I can't thank you enough. These are great, dude. This is the same kind of stuff I would have done, but I just don't have the time because I'm busy doing comprehensive reading orders. No, I'm kidding. I love doing this stuff. This is the stuff that I do for fun on my spare time, and now I get to make videos and show you fine folks, because I wish that somebody had done this for me many years ago when I first started collecting in the collected editions game. So stay tuned to the channel for part 2. It might come out next week. It might come out the week after, depending on how much work I have. Real work, that is. Not that this isn't. This is fun. So if you haven't joined our Patreon again, think about joining so you could take a vote in the comprehensive reading order polls that we put out every month. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at NearMainCon. If you enjoy the content of this channel, please think about subscribing and hit that like button. Smash that like button. And notifications button to get notifications on when we go live. And what the hell am I talking about? I already have my most favorite Justice League stories out there already. I made a video about 2 years ago. So I'll leave that in the descriptions, or you can click above. Sorry, dad brain. You can also find our Near Mint Condition logo, which is not here. I didn't have any room for it, on our Redbubble page. So you can put it on stickers or t-shirts. That would be an awesome way to support us as well. And remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be Near Mint.